Hey guys, it's Jasmine for Tupelo Designs LLC. Today's card is going to be using the Written in the Stars set by Concord and Ninth. We're going to do some heat embossing and some ink blending, die cutting, and we're going to make a shaker. So here I'm using my Misty to start out with the little in the distance power lines image in the corner. We're going to make this look like a night sky. So use my powder tool to get rid of any oils or static that's on the paper. And we're going to heat emboss that with some white embossing powder. Any opaque white embossing powder will do here. I think this particular brand is Stampin Up. Or no, it's Stampendous. And then I do something rather silly. And I wasn't thinking about the foam insert melting when I did this. So don't heat emboss over the foam pad in your Misty. Because I did melt it a little bit. It was still fine, usable. But yeah, don't do that. So I take the cluster of stars image and I just randomly stamp it several times using Versamark, and then I heat emboss that with white powder as well. And not being able to really see where you're putting it is kind of a bonus here because you want it to look random, and this kind of helps you do that. So then I'm just taking a paintbrush to brush off any stray specks I don't want on there. And put that back in the jar. And whenever you're heat embossing, you want to let your gun run for like 60 seconds or more, and that way it gets good and hot and immediately begins to emboss. That way you're going to have less warping on your paper and it will lie flat a lot more easier. So now we're moving on to the ink blending. And there's the 5 colors I use: Black Soot, Wilted Violet, Blueprint Sketch, Chip Sapphire, and Mermaid Lagoon. I'm going to put some music on while we do the ink blending, and I will catch back up with you when we're done. So the next thing we're going to do is a little bit of water splotching, I guess is the best way to put that. I'm going to take a little spray bottle and put some water in my hand, palm of my hand, and then just kind of sprinkle it over the top with my paper towel and blot it up. Some of those blads are kind of big, but you know, it's handmade. It still works, right? And it kind of gave a little bit of a Milky Way effect, which I actually liked quite a bit. So the next thing I'm going to do is use a circle die and kind of place my circle die over, kind of layer everything over together so I can get an idea of what it looks like with the vellum. And then I'm going to use my MISTI to stamp that using some Delicata Golden Glitz ink. And this is a pigment ink, so you're going to want to let it dry for a few minutes. You can heat emboss it, but I've noticed that it kind of diminishes the glistening effect that it has. So the next thing I did was take a piece of fun foam and I traced the circle so that I know exactly where to put my die to die cut it. And the fun foam is going to go behind our panel to support it for the shaker piece. So just run that through your Big Shot or whatever die cutting machine you have. And so here I'm just placing my vellum behind my circle. And I use 1/8 inch wide Scor-Tape to fit behind the panel to adhere the vellum. And Scor-Tape is my favorite dry adhesive. It's really strong, it doesn't lose power, it's not going to dry up and your project fall apart. So I burnish that down with my bone folder and then peel that off. Then I add my vellum to the back and trim off the edges just with scissors. And then I fit my fun foam to the back and I use the same adhesive on both sides of the fun foam. And this little circle is going to serve to be the element that holds the sequins in there. And you want to make sure you get adhesive the entire way around on both sides so that there's no escaping sequins. The last thing you want is to get your project put together and shake it and have sequins falling out all over the place. Ask me how I know. And then you're going to want to adhere the rest of the panel of the fun foam to the card base. And I just did that with little short pieces of 1/2 inch wide Scor-Tape. And there I've got 3 colors of sequins from my stash. A yellow, a black, grayish black, and a white. And then that white piece of cardstock there is just a scrap piece of cardstock to cover over our shaker window. And then the card base there I'm using is Blackberry Bliss cardstock from Stampin' Up, just from my stash. So I like to leave one strip of adhesive exposed and then just peel up the backing on the rest of them until I get it positioned the way I want it, and then go back and remove the rest of the backing paper. This is a little bit easier when you're just using pieces of cardstock and your card base versus the fun foam, but I made it work. So next we moved to adding our sequins, and I used 3 different kinds. Little things from Lucy's cards in the Ivory selection. It's got some stars, an iridescent ivory sequins in different sizes. And then 4mm sparkling clear pretty pink posh. And the yellow and clear set is just for my stash. And I add those with some glossy accents. And those tweezers there are from Elizabeth Crafts. And I had a bonus sequin there, so I just added him back up there. And I really loved how the vellum was translucent, so you could still see the colors and the reflective shine in those sequins behind the vellum. So next I'm just adding some Wink of Stella to all of the individual tiny little stars to add some sparkle. And our card will be complete. So I've got some still shots at the end and all of my social media contacts in the end as well. So thanks for stopping by. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll be happy to answer them best I can. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Have a great day. Bye-bye.